Good morning. So let me start from the dialogue I'm supposed to read. Good morning, and welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, in person and online worship. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we're glad you are with us. My name is Polly Juneau. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of, I can't remember, several different organizations that are affiliated with this church. Anyway, we are here growing a community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those of us who are joining us on Zoom. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so we know more about you. I'm going to read you a few announcements that were handed to me. The first Covenant Listening Circle is today, after worship, in the Memorial Room, led by Katrina. There will be refreshments and good conversation. All are welcome. The second is tonight on Zoom, and Katrina's there if you don't know who she is. And there is something in your order of service that you can refer to talking about a Chinese Lunar New Year potluck to be held on February 17th. And the note that along with that says we're having a February potluck. Sign up in the foyer. All are welcome, but not necessary to sign up. You can just show up. Any questions about that, you can talk to Celeste. And Celeste is waving back there. And this afternoon from 2 to 4 at the First Parish A2U Church, there will be a community conversation about pro-democracy in response to the very real threat to our democracy. It will include a strong organizing component. Now, we invite you to, you know this, silence your phones so that we can be fully present to one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee in the kitchen and stay for conversation, or head down the hall, the long hall, join a group with the brown bag lunch people. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now let us center our hearts and minds with the ringing of the chimes.
Good morning, church. Happy February. It's cold. For those of you I haven't met before, my name is Reverend Tara. I use they and she pronouns, and I am the minister here at Allen Avenue A2U Church, A2U2 for short. And I am delighted to be here in worship and community with you today. This morning in worship, we join in spirit with many other Unitarian Universalist churches and practitioners of earth-based spiritualities as we honor Imbolc and mark the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. We mark these seasons and cycles of the earth, our home, as more often than not, they offer us grounding and anchor points for the seasons and cycles of our own individual lives and our shared life in community. And so today we'll reflect in particular on the seeds we feel called to sow here in this season of life, what intentions we have for the coming spring, which we recommit ourselves to the cultivation of. And so you are welcome to settle here, to fully arrive, perhaps feeling your feet on the ground, taking a breath, and knowing that you are welcome. Come, you are joyfully called to worship. And as we light our sanctuary chalice this morning, those of you worshiping at home are invited to light a chalice or a candle near you to connect us to one another. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us seed together, hear together, and love together. And we light a second candle this morning, as we often do. This morning, a candle for peace. We bring to our attention the ongoing profound suffering and violence in Gaza, as we refuse to turn away and forget any member of our human family. Let us pause and take a breath together. Our opening hymn is In Sweet Fields of Autumn, number 52 in your gray hymnal and up on the screen. Dale will play through once, and you are invited to rise in body and spirit and join your voices in song. Our time for all ages this morning is not one I'm going to tell. It is going to be a video. It's a story called Bridge of Flowers, and it's told by our Unitarian Universalist Association president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. She tells it beautifully, and I thought it would be fun to share her with all of you. So,
our story today is adapted from one of my favorite authors, Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasinha, and it is called The Bridge of Flowers. Now, I need you to know that this story is told in the voice of a young girl who loves her family very much. Here we go. I am quiet, and I listen a lot, and that's why I get to tell this story. So here's what happened. My mom, Soraya, is a witch. And that means that she listens to people talk and she makes potions for them out of flowers and dirt and rocks and sometimes even spit to help them with their problems. My Papa, Kamau, is a scientist, and they spend a lot of their time looking at tiny pieces of moss under lots of different microscopes. When Mom and Papa fell in love, they planted 2 trees, close enough together that they could be near each other, but far enough apart to have room to grow. So Mom cast a spell, and Papa settled down lots of fertilizer, and the 2 trees grew quickly and really, really tall. Now, Mom and Papa really love each other. They don't always love living together. Right, Soraya has a tendency to leave crystals and lipstick and bacon grease everywhere. And Papa likes clean counters so that the bacon grease doesn't end up in their experiments. They fight about this sometimes. Soraya thinks that bacon grease and crystals and lipstick are part of the magic. Papa says clean counters are magical too. So eventually, Soraya and Kamau decided to live close together, but also apart. And they built houses, tree houses, in those very same trees that they planted when they fell in love. And most importantly, between the 2 houses, they wove a bridge of flowers so you could get back and forth whenever you wanted to. That bridge had roses and sunflowers. It had little yellow flowers whose names I don't remember. It had cactuses, one of which was the parent of my own personal cactus, Agnes. You'll hear more about her later. It was a beautiful bridge, and it allowed us to go back and forth whenever we wanted to see each other. Now, my sibling Kumar, after a while, added a skateboarding ramp to the bridge. They would go to the bridge, do an ollie, land on the ramp, go around and do the whole thing again. It kept our family woven together. Me, I stay inside often, and I journal, and I'm quiet. Sometimes outside is just too much. But late at night, when the whole world is listening, I like to sit in the middle of the bridge and breathe. Now, one day, times got really stressful in the world, and Mom tried to help more and more people, and she picked more and more flowers from the bridge for her potions. And Papa, they were doing more work to try to clean the air, and they took more mosses and lichens from the bridge. They did this work to support the community, and they picked more flowers and more mosses and more lichens. And one morning, when we went outside, we saw that they had picked too much, and the bridge had collapsed. Mom and Papa started fighting about whose fault it was. We just don't have time to deal with this. And they went back to work. This is something parents do sometimes when they're stressed. But Kumar and I didn't think this was okay. Some members of the community suggested that we didn't need a bridge. After all, Soraya had a ramp, Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if we couldn't get to each other. But Kumar and I liked the ease of back and forth. What if I left Agnes in the wrong house? What if Kumar needed their backpack? We decided something had to be done. Now, I don't always get along with my sibling, but we talked about it and we strategized and we came up with an idea. So I went to Mom's cabinet, you know, the one she doesn't lock because she trusts us. I took some of her magical honey and her special dirt and seeds, and Kumar took lichens and mosses from Papa's lab. And we came and we brought our hands together and we thought about what we most wanted. We closed our eyes and we wished for that to come back into being. When we opened our eyes, the bridge was back. But it didn't just connect our houses. It connected our houses and our libraries and the place where Soraya and Kamau go for organizing meetings. It connected us to the shelter and the food bank and all around the community. And the bridge was beautiful. So we went to wake up Soraya and Kamau to show them what we had done, but they were already awake. They were up late, working on saving the world. But they came outside with us and saw the bridge, and it was good. So it turns out that I have magic too, even though I'm quiet. Or maybe because I'm quiet, I have magic. And it's good to live with people you love and to sometimes have enough space for yourself and for growth. And the truth is that sometimes when we least know what we're doing, it's when we are at our most magical. And that is the end of our story.
In a few moments, some of us will leave the sanctuary to enjoy religious education programming today, singing Unitarian Universalist songs of love, planting seeds of love. But first, I invite Emmett, our lamplighter, to join me in the pulpit. A lamplighter is entrusted to transfer the light of the sanctuary chalice to the lamp and then go forth to RE spaces where they will light the chalices there. I invite those going to RE to follow the lamplighter as we carry the flame, expanding our sacred space. Would you join me in the spirit of prayer? O Spirit of life and of love, we pause for a moment on this cold day to reflect on the changes 1 week can make in our lives. We celebrate the Feast of Imbolc, the pagan holiday that heralds the coming of spring. Our hearts stir with the thought that lambs are being born, that light is increasing, that if not here, then in other parts of our country, the earth has begun to stir from its winter sleep. We bow to the forces of nature that have stirred again and again and reminded us through storms and sudden changes in our weather that we are not in charge, that earth is moved by jet streams, polar vortices, and we must endure and be patient. And through it all, we are reminded again and again that we are not alone. That we are not alone. May we continue to recognize that in this spiritual home that we are held. In this house of memory and hope, we will be welcomed and supported. In this temple of celebration and contemplation, we may bring all of who we are and be both honored and affirmed. For all this and all that will come in the days ahead, we say amen and blessed be.
We are a freely gathered, open, and welcoming faith community supported by your contributions. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a nonprofit organization whose mission aligns with our UU values. This month's Share the Plate recipient, chosen by our Coming of Age youth, is Rewild, Maine, whose mission is to deepen the connections between people, each other, and the earth through land stewardship, education, and community. Donations can be made now, as the basket is passed, through the donate button on our website, or if you are a member, on Breeze. If giving through Breeze, please note if the donation is part of your pledge or a gift to share the plate. If you're visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is a gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
Spirit of life, source of being, open our hearts and minds to all that is possible in this season of liminality, this in-between season, sometimes winter, sometimes nearly spring, not quite one or the other. Against a white background, several flower buds and one upright bulbs with shoots of green rising from its top. Beneath the crust of earth, seeds and bulbs lay in store. Some, crocus and daffodil, have dared to pierce the surface, braving to become the next iteration of self, a new bloom. On the forsythia and magnolia branches, petals curl into themselves, swelling into uncertain buds, waiting for the optimal conditions of light and warmth and rain to unfold into their potential for beauty and delight. On the bare branches of maple, oak, and elm, tiny leaves are invisibly budding, readying themselves for their debut, a new wardrobe for a new season. We too are waiting to grow again. Like perennial plants and deciduous trees, we don't grow along a singular trajectory. From infancy through childhood to the full bloom of adulthood and the wider unfolding of elder years. Rather, we grow anew year upon year in seasons and cycles. In the cold and dark of winters, real and metaphorical, we hunker down, seek shelter and stillness, conserve energy, so that new vitality can germinate. In this liminal season, we are waiting for signs of longer light, lasting warmth, and quenching rains, waiting to grow again anew. What new growth is budding in you, readying itself to make its debut, to adorn the world with new beauty and delight? Can you hear it singing?
What new growth is budding in you, readying itself to make its debut, to adorn the world with new beauty and delight? In the words of our meditation, can you hear it singing? I appreciate living somewhere with seasons. I never thought about it much growing up because it was all I knew. But over the years, through traveling and meeting people from all around the country and world, I've realized it's a unique context. And of course, we know that here in Maine, we have more than just 4 seasons. We have the particularities of late summer, that early October week of heat, that period in November where we see how long we can go without turning the thermostat on. I know you do it. Which we wear like a badge of honor. Self-proclaimed winner. There's maple sugaring season, mud season, could be rain or snow season, which gets longer every year, dark at 3 p.m. season, assess if you stacked enough chords to make it through season, as sings the prophet Joni Mitchell, the seasons, they go round and round. We can't return, join with me if you'd like. We can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. The seasons of our earth give us a place to anchor the seasons of our lives. And so here we find ourselves at Imbolc in the belly of winter. The threshold of spring, though this morning it didn't feel that way. Deep below the earth, life stirs, perhaps in our hearts and our spirits too. Something stirs, is coming alive, making its way toward the surface. Seeds, of course, are the perfect metaphor for this time. We can't see what we have planted, yet with time, intention, and care, they will germinate, sprout, and bear fruit, whatever that looks like. Imagery of planting, sowing, and harvesting shows up in the holy texts of faith traditions, spanning generations and crossing continents. Shows up in our movements for justice and liberation, too. Show up in our stories that we tell our children. Years ago, I was at a protest. I can't remember for what. But I do remember one particular protest sign that has stuck with me that I think about on a regular basis. It read, "They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds." They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. Through some research, I learned that the original text of this quote is attributed to the Greek poet Dinos Christianopoulos. His couplet, written in 1978, reads in its English translation, "What didn't you do to bury me, but you forgot that I was a seed?" Christianopoulos was gay and used erotic gay imagery in his works. He knew what it meant to be buried. Many of us, particularly those of us on the margins in some way, know what it means to be buried. And we also know resilience. We know something about what it means to be a seed. So this couplet spread and morphed into its more widely known phrasing, "They tried to bury us." It has been used in the immigrant rights movement and liberation movements in Mexico and across Latin America. Just a few days ago, I was catching up on the most recent legislative attacks against trans and genderqueer Americans. In Florida, 19 anti-trans bills have already been filed ahead of the 2024 legislative session that began this past Tuesday. One of these bills would require trans and non-binary people, regardless of their gender identity, to list their sex assigned at birth on their driver's license. And this puts trans and non-binary lives in danger and is yet another attempt to erase them. As a genderqueer person myself, these pieces of news are hard to read. This is my community. These are my friends. I see the impact of these bills, even when they are not passed, on the collective heartbeat of the queer and trans community. We are tired of being buried. And then I remember, we are seeds. We cannot actually be buried or erased because we grow toward the light. Resilient little buggers we are. And that gives me hope, just enough of it. Even when the seasons of winter, of darkness, of cold, of mud and gray drag on, when despair knocks, so that I can hear new life, new growth, holy resiliency, singing. And there is a vital element to sowing seeds that we cannot forget. Sowing seeds requires us to provide the right environment and conditions for the seeds to germinate. Not just to stick them in dirt and send up a prayer, which is why I'm not a great gardener, but to choose the right soil, climate, and sunlight. The same is true of our intentions and our hopes, too. We identify them, we bury them, and then we do the work to create the conditions for their thriving. And then we do the work to create the conditions for their thriving. What new growth is budding in you, readying itself to make its debut to adorn the world with new beauty and delight? What has been sowed in you? What seeds will you sow in your own heart, life, community, knowing that it's never too late to do some planting? That perhaps the winter of our lives are, in fact, the perfect moments. What in you has this world tried to bury, and how will you resist its succeeding? I invite you to take a moment now to think about this, about what seed you'd like to sow today for your own life or for our shared life in community. You each should have received a little piece of paper and a pencil. If you didn't, Diane has them, and you can give her a wave. As you think, as you reflect, I invite you to write down on your piece of paper whatever comes to you. Folks in our Zoom sanctuary are invited to type their reflections into the chat. I have my laptop. We'll take a few moments now in silence to reflect. at this time, you are invited to come forward for a ritual of burying. Make this paper into a tiny seed. A ritual of sowing the seeds of our hopes and intentions. There are 3 stations, one on the joys and sorrows table, one at the pulpit, and the other in front of the piano. They're all the same. Each has a bowl of soil and a tiny, adorable shovel for you to do your planting. I've written the comments from the Zoom chat on my slip of paper, so your seeds will be planted too. May the rich, life-giving soil of our commitment and community transform these seeds into new life. Come, all things are now ready. We have sowed our seeds, and now we do the work to create the conditions for their thriving. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 130 in the gray hymnal and up on the screen. O liberating rose. Dale will play through once, and then we'll rise in body or in spirit and join our voices as one. Our eyes turn now, and our minds too, toward the ordinary. Leaving this space made sacred by our presence, take with you at least some seed of understanding, hope, and courage, and drop it into the confusion of the world. Nourish the seed that it might grow as a tree of life, giving shelter to the weary and hope to the despairing. Be yourself a seed and a branch of the tree of life. Our worship has ended, and our service begins. Go in peace.